it's a quarterback league.
Oh, absolutely.
The teams with the best quarterbacks are the ones that go the furthest.
The NFL kind of showed it to us within the last 30 years, and now it's here too.
College football, you need a really good defense.
Yes.
You need a great quarterback. And the teams with good defense and great quarterback play go the furthest. What's up, everybody? It's More Steam back again. Playoff edition.
Official playoff edition. We're not predicting anything anymore.
We know where we are.
Legit.
We know where we're going, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're here. And as always, Will Watkins.
I'm Thomas Wharton. And man, I mean, Sunday, yeah, you like to host, but we kind of knew we weren't going to. And we landed like exactly where we thought we were going to go.
Literally.
Could be worse. Vols are playoff bound. We're going to have a whole bunch of playoff merch here at the ballclub.com right now, and then also at some point in this store. So check it out. I think it's the best around. I'm biased. You may not be biased, and if you buy it, then you'll see.
We've got those playoff toboggans.
Yeah,
I'm going to be getting one of those because
toboggan or beanie. Are you toboggan?
I think I fluctuate. Like, it's not a caramel situation.
Yeah, no.
I just say whatever comes to my mind at that point.
I think it's kind of regional.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because I had a toboggan, like the sled.
Yeah.
I had one of those. So they're like, do you have a toboggan to wear? And I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
How would you wear a sled? I definitely say toboggan more than beanie, but beanie, it's like, oh yeah, that interchangeable in my
checks
mind.
out. That's fair.
It's not a Coke versus like cola or pop. Like,
yeah,
I ain't doing all that. It's not that regional in my opinion. Like, I use both. Like, I'm never going to say anything's pop. It's Coke. Yep. Coke is Coke here. Coke is Diet Coke. Coke is Pepsi. Coke is everything.
Yep.
Here.
Just Coke.
I use toboggan and beanie interchangeable, but that merch looks fantastic. We'll be getting one of those because I'm going to freeze to death in Columbus.
Yes, me too.
I'm not excited about it. I am dreading the trip up there because of the cold weather, not the team. We'll get into that next week, but I'm not that worried about them. But for now, I am dreading the cold weather because I don't like being cold.
No. And I mean, thankfully, Knoxville is kind of preparing us for it. Prepped us at least last week. It's warming up a little bit today. We'll see. So everyone's talking about Nico being a West Coast guy in a Southern state. Is he going to be ready? Well, Knoxville's doing their part.
Feels like the Big Ten in the country right now.
Exactly.
We'll get into this next week.
But that's next week.
But
that's next week.
What you do in cold weather, you run the ball. You know what we do well? We run the ball. But that's next week. That's next week.
Right
Tune in next week.
We are going over our predictions that we made last episode. So as you see, we've made no changes. I could have switched some of these names around to make me look right. And
honesty.
Make you
the Steamers deserve honesty. So here we are.
Ethical and honest. That's who we are. Watkins, let's start with you.
So a little bit of bias in our picks. We both had us hosting.
Yep.
Clearly didn't happen. We knew it probably wasn't going to happen, but we were wishful thinking last week.
Yes, we were.
But we nailed our 8-9. Just flipped them a little bit. Going through it, I'll start here and I'll work over. Penn State, Indiana. Well, we got one of those. Indiana was the 10. Notre Dame, 7.
Yep.
Which I'm going to jump around here. We're just going to go through this. You nailed it.
Yes.
You nailed it.
Yes. I was 12 for 12 with the teams.
True.
Which, I mean, I don't want to feels good. For as poor as I was in like in-season predictions, that's
you nailed
good.
the team.
But I played it safe too. I
took a little flyer here. We'll move on to this one. It's SMU, Penn State. Obviously, I didn't get either of those teams right in their slots. I took a flyer on South Carolina. You know, a shocking thing in those rankings, like they beat Clemson.
Yes.
And like the playoff committee didn't care at all.
Not at all.
They were like, cool. You moved up one spot.
Not one bit.
You beat a top 15 team or whatever 100%. Clemson was, and they were just like, doesn't matter. Fascinating. Just to get into the mind of the committee with the 12 team. I thought they would give them some more love.
to even try to think that way.
It's crazy. I loved SMU getting in over Alabama.
Me too.
We hate Alabama on one point, but also we talked a lot last week. Like, would you get punished if you were in a conference championship and you lost?
Yeah,
you should, as in like you drop a little bit, but you shouldn't be out of the playoffs.
It goes back to 2 years ago when Dabo made that flipping burgers comment. Like, I didn't like it because it was directed toward us. But he makes sense. Alabama was sitting on their butts last weekend, doing nothing. SMU was losing a conference championship game.
And in a close game. Like, 100%. If they'd have dropped them out, I think we should have rioted on the committee. Like, in their little room with their 12-inch TVs and everything. Like, not a single beer inside. Not that I would be drinking beer and watching football, Mom. Waters all the time. But they're just watching on 12-inch TVs. This is a
What is
disaster.
this?
You know, they all took a nap halfway through.
Terrible.
Whatever. Anyway.
Miserable.
So took a flyer there. Was shocked how little they respected their win against Clemson a little bit, but glad to see SMU at the 11. Obviously, the 6 is Penn State, so a little higher than I thought they would. I thought that they would drop them a little bit more, but Penn State honestly played a lot better than I thought they would.
Fantastic game, and especially how that game started, where Oregon was just like
running it down,
and they hung around.
I was impressed with Penn State more than I thought I'd be because James Franklin has that stigma of can't win the big games. Those examples, so them staying at 6, I think that's fair. I think they've earned that spot to not drop too much further than that. Looking over Clemson, see, this is where I thought. And I'm glad they did. They kept Texas at the 5. I thought that's great because it shows some respect to the SEC, right? Like you were in the championship game, you were 2 and you didn't drop that far.
Exactly.
Love that. Even though I thought that was going to be the Notre Dame spot because that's what everybody said.
Yep.
Good on them for not rewarding them for not playing.
Exactly.
You're not in a conference championship game, you don't get rewarded for that.
Exactly. Kept them good. And at 7's not a bad spot for them. But 5 is easily the most coveted, and now with Boise being 3, 6, 5 and 6 are kind of the most coveted.
I think it's funny. It's flipped to 6 in my opinion. Like if I could pick any seed for Tennessee to be, it'd be the 6. I'd love to have SMU and then Boise State as a path. No disrespect to SMU, great program, but if you're looking at the other teams you could play, like I don't like Clemson is Clemson, but at the same time,
they're not a pushover.
They're not a pushover, and Dabo's been there. I was talking to a national college football guy today. I won't name names because I don't know if he wants that conversation to be told, but we were talking about Clemson, Texas. Like, that's a winnable game for Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're looking at that one, I think they're getting like 10 points. I'm going to ride with the coach that's been in these situations a ton. I think that's a game that Clemson can absolutely win.
100%.
And Texas has not proven it. They ain't played nobody, Paul.
They ain't played
nobody. So we got Clemson at Texas down here. Again, both nailed the 12 seed. Just kind of mixed up our 5s. And then the top 4, I nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
So Oregon, UGA, Boise, ASU. You had Texas beating UGA.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that game came down to the wire.
It was wild.
I think, like, whoever won the SEC was going to be there, so that was your pick. Luckily,
that game was chaos.
I picked UGA, and I had a nice little payday this week. Because
there you go.
Not that I gamble. We don't condone gambling. Nope. But, Arizona State, that's a team I'm glad we don't have to play.
Yes.
Not that I'm scared of them anyway. I'm just going to be rooting for them. Dillingham is the guy.
Yes.
He's unbelievable.
Their quarterback's easy to root for. I mean, Scadabo's like, dude, he's the man. He is built. There's a term. I can't use it, but.
Not all my favorite players are Tennessee players. But if there's a non-Tennessee player that's my favorite, it's Scadabo.
He's the man.
He's so much fun.
Catching the ball, running the ball, it just a freight train.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Coming at you.
So yeah, I mean, this is ours. We didn't crush it, but we crushed some aspects of it. But it was fun. Now,
let's get the real bracket.
Let's get the real bracket going.
Okay, so we're gonna pause,
cut this, wipe it, and we'll be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. On time.
Here,
we're back. Look, see,
this is the actual bracket, not my predicted one, not ours.
This is
what's gonna happen.
All right, let's dive into it.
Yeah.
Here's the matchups. Tennessee, Ohio State, we won't take a ton of time because that's next week. But we are going to Columbus
more steam.
On the 21st, 8 p.m. That'll be fun.
Best for last, man.
Can't wait.
Cap off the first round of the first ever 12 team matchup of the night. Game of the week.
As I was looking at them, like if you're looking at all these matchups on the first round, it's got to be the marquee one, right?
Has to be. There's a chance that the games are good, but I think this is the most high stakes.
Yeah, Brand. Like that's
two blue bloods, icons of college
Clemson
football.
in Texas is good, but Clemson has not been great this year.
No,
so it's not like
kind of a weird story.
Yeah, I think we are the marquee matchup. I think the battle for Indiana. That whatever.
Right. That I think will be a good game, but that's also that game might be like 17-10.
It could be.
It's just like, man.
Who knows? Like this one, all right. We will Tennessee to Ohio State. We'll talk about that next week. Yep. This one, let's talk about this one.
Cool.
I'm fascinated because you have a team with, in my opinion, a very good defense. Team with a very good offense.
Very good.
What does Cignetti's Indiana team do against Notre Dame? Because They ain't playing nobody, Paul. Like,
No.
Indiana, like they've lost to the good teams on their schedule. Like
Yes.
they very clear story out there right now. They've reworked their schedule this year to try to be bowl eligible. Turns out they were better than that.
Yes.
But they like dropped games and added games with the intention of having an easier schedule. And it worked for them.
It worked.
Mm-hmm.
And their argument, in India, like a Hoosier argument against that is like, well, we beat them by a whole bunch.
Sure.
And I mean, they're for prior to losing to Ohio State, they're like margin of victory, first in the, like best in the nation by a long shot. So if you're going to play bad teams,
You got to beat them.
beat them by a lot.
Yeah, sure, but maybe play a good team. I don't know.
That too. I'm just
A fair
telling you,
argument.
like the opposing, devil's advocate. That's what that is. Notre Dame, everyone says, oh, they're not in a conference, therefore they don't play a, play a schedule.
they play teams like, I don't know, Northern Illinois.
Right.
So I don't know.
They play a mid to like slightly above average ACC Big Ten schedule every year. No,
ACC, not Big Ten, because they don't play anybody. They played USC was like their hardest game.
that is true. That is true. But they win those games.
This is the battle that ain't played nobody, Paul.
Exactly. Right. And then they get to play the winner of they've played everybody.
The prize for playing no one is you get to play another kind of nobody, and you get railroaded next game.
Yes.
Maybe Georgia may not have a quarterback. We'll find out.
see.
Gunshot. I thought he died.
They're doing tryouts. You know who their third string quarterback is?
Jaden Rashada.
Yes.
Love it.
I thought he was going to be there. Hold on. Dalton is calling out Notre Dame's win over Texas A&M week 1.
Yeah, week 1. A lifetime ago.
Exactly. And they're not a playoff team anymore. So like that doesn't look as good. When they were top 10 in the country, it's like, oh, that's a marquee win.
You know who else played Texas A&M? Texas, and they beat them by a lot.
Yeah.
Don't count.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, terrible, trash.
Yep.
Anyway, the battle for Indiana.
I don't know, because Notre Dame, did you watch the USC game?
Yeah.
Much at all? I mean, that was a ball game back and forth, and then they had that pick six to really blow it open. But it's one of those games the score doesn't really dictate how the game went.
USC, I think, in my opinion, was awful this year.
100%.
Like, there's a reason that Lincoln Riley got linked to the UCF job for some reason. Like, what are we doing? Like that, the ship on him has sailed. I think the honeymoon is over. They're looking for ways out here.
100%.
This one, I'm interested in this game only because it's a playoff game.
Yeah.
If I were ranking the 4 games, it's the one that I care the least about.
100%.
Because I know whoever plays in this game, whoever wins is getting beat by Georgia.
Yeah, it's not a, I mean, if you're Georgia, if you're Kirby Smart, quarterback or no quarterback, who do you want in this game?
Like, I'll take Georgia. If I'm Georgia, give me Indiana.
Okay.
Because I think Notre Dame is better in the trenches. Still not great, but they're better in the trenches than Indiana. They'll railroad either of these teams.
Yes.
Give me Indiana from them, because like I know I'm going to blow them out. Like Georgia, you can go ahead and pencil them in here. Because I think this is the only game I can talk myself into any of these other 6 teams making a run. These 2, it's a one and done.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
So we'll jump from there. We'll go SMU Penn State.
This is a big one. So we talked about before we cut and reworked the bracket that Penn State, the 6th seed, is kind of in like the most ideal position. And I know it's Spencer Danielson, right? Mm-hmm. He got up there, his press conference. It was either early this morning or yesterday, and was like, put the chip on our shoulder, like do it. And I'm like, hey, I'm glad that chip's on your shoulder.
Right.
That still does. I mean, you're still playing Penn State.
Yeah.
You're still, and I don't know what bowl game this is going to be, but
I think it's Fiesta.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I know this one's Rose Bowl. This one's Peach.
If that's Peach, it's Georgia's backyard too.
Is it Peach? No, it's Sugar.
Okay.
So one of these is Peach, one's Fiesta. We'll get a fact check in a second.
Arizona State is Peach.
Fiesta.
Oregon's Pasadena. That's Rose. Boise is Fiesta.
Nice.
Georgia is Sugar.
Okay.
Awesome.
So yeah, they'll go to New Orleans and they'll get railroaded. This one down here, I might take SMU
to win
against Penn State.
Okay.
James Franklin can't win the big game. We all know that.
Yeah.
Hate to do it, but he is who he is. SMU's quarterback's electric.
Oh yeah.
And they struggle with Oregon's offense. Now Oregon's got a lot more playmakers, better offensive line. But like SMU's got a good offense. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm looking at all of these, the thing I've seen is we'll even see an upset. I think there's a good chance to see 3.
Real.
I don't think it's Indiana. I think Notre Dame beats them.
Okay.
I think SMU, I can talk myself pretty easily into them beating Penn State because that quarterback is electric.
Yeah.
Now the problem is, I don't want to see SMU Boise State.
No, that's a tough quarterfinal game.
That's rough.
You also, I think, and granted, SMU's invested a lot in their program.
It's true.
They've recruited pretty well since moving to the new conference. But I mean, Penn State, in terms of quality of roster,
A little bias here.
maybe,
A little bit of bias here.
maybe, but like.
He's got some Penn State ties.
100% I do, but I'm just saying, like, to say that they're not head and shoulders more talented than SMU.
I don't disagree.
Yes.
Like from a talent standpoint, like Jimmy's and Joe's, absolutely.
Yes.
The difference maker,
Kevin Jennings.
Kevin Jennings. Like,
That's fair.
There's a scenario where he runs wild
Oh, absolutely.
and beats them.
He's the driving point of their seat. He's the reason they're in this thing.
And at one point this year, they were playing like, what was Parker Stone? Was that the other quarterback that SMU
I think
had?
so. I think
like,
so.
what are we doing? Like, you had this guy, like,
And he was just sitting there.
throw him in the game. Like, he's been electric. I really like this matchup. Pretty good chance, again, I don't gamble, that I do a little parlay for 3 upsets that include Tennessee, Clemson, and SMU, just in case.
Just never know. You never know.
I like their matchup there. Going back and looking at Penn State, like, they beat some good teams this year and they've had a good year, but they didn't dominate in the way that I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
They just won some good games, played well against teams they were supposed to play well, lost against some of the teams they were supposed to lose against too. Like, I don't know, but I like SMU here, just as a wild card. Plus, it would be very boring if it was just all chalk.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I took a flyer on South Carolina making it last week.
Might as well.
I'm going to take some flyers here.
Just have some fun with it.
I like SMU. Again, Tennessee, Ohio State, that's all next week.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, we're both going to pick Tennessee. Clemson, Texas. Let you go first on your thoughts there.
This is interesting because it seems like the entire year, I mean, Clemson opened up in Mercedes-Benz, got dog walked by Georgia.
Murdered.
And then from there on, it was just like you kind of forgot about them.
Yep.
But they've slowly, like,
chipping away
behind the scenes, just win games.
Yep.
And I mean, they've lost, who they lose to Virginia Tech? No, they beat Virginia Tech. They lost to
South Carolina,
and
Georgia, and producer Dalton's going to have
that's
it.
an info we should have.
Louisville.
Oh, wow.
Like, Louisville's a fine team,
Yeah.
but they're not great.
So basically, it's like everyone kind of writes them off from playoff contention, which is what this season's all been about, is who's in, who's out. Clemson's not even, they're an afterthought.
Well, to be fair, they needed a miracle in the last week of the season to get in.
And they got it.
And they took care of business.
And they got it. Thank you, Syracuse. So they're in to the ACC championship game. Everyone's saying, there's the Bama or SMU, assuming with an SMU loss. So I thought, no money on this. I thought SMU's like, okay, we're hearing that. They're saying if we lose, we may be out. Let's just go, beat the brakes off of them. Didn't happen. Clemson pulls it out. They're in. Texas did not look good to me against Georgia, but not too many teams have looked good against Georgia.
Fair.
Right? And they're, again, talk about roster talent. I mean, they're probably the best, if not one of the top 3.
Yeah, it's them. Oregon and Ohio State, I think, are the most talented rosters in the country.
100%. So, Quinn Ewers beats up. They're in that game. It's ugly game. I still like Texas. I think all year they've been waiting for the berth. They're in one of probably the top 2 most advantageous seeds in terms. Obviously, you'd want to have a bye too. Maybe not. There's an argument for that too. But I still like Texas. I think it's going to be a great game. I agree with you there. I still like Texas.
I think it's a winnable game for Clemson. If I'm putting money on it, realistically, just that one heads up, it's Texas. Yeah. It's the same reason we talked about Georgia versus these two. Like, I think Texas is just a more talented team than Clemson at the end of the day. And Clemson doesn't have the dynamic quarterback that changes it.
No.
Kate Klubnik's great, and he's going home to play in Austin. To play in Austin where he's from. But at the end of the day, he's kind of one-dimensional. He can run a little bit. Like, he's not a bad runner, but he's not doing the freakish things.
No, he's not the difference maker. Yeah. And also, I mean, I don't know how much Dabo or even guys like Cade Klubnik are going to take this into account. Clemson's season is a success.
100%.
You go week 1, you get killed, and then you're just slowly kind of hanging in there, and you wind up as the conference champ in the first ever playoff. Yeah, look at us.
We did it. House money.
If they go lose 35-7 here, you're going home happy. Clemson is like, add another trophy to the trophy case. Wear that playoff merch around,
I am curious to see the quarterback split for Texas. Quinn Ewers, not very good in that SEC championship game.
Not at all.
Had some okay plays, but overall didn't play very well. Arch Manning gives you a little bit more not dynamic plays with the legs. Like at some point, if you're Texas, all roster building of the current landscape, what point do you go, Arch is the future here?
Yeah.
Let's roll him a little bit more. Stop with just the design runs. Let's let him get a couple series.
I'd argue that their mind's there. Like they are very excited about 2025 because
Agreed.
then there's no question
100%.
because Quinn's out the door. But it's one of those things. It's kind of where we were last year.
Technically, he can come back.
I know he can.
I don't think he will.
They're
I
not
don't
gonna-
think he'll be in the NFL draft either. Little spoiler alert there. I think he'll be somewhere else next year.
You heard it here first. But I think this is kind of one of the things where we were last year is like, Joe's here. And he's our guy for now.
All right.
And
Next
then
year.
it's like you're just waiting. You're like, so how's Nico? How's Nico? Like we know Joe's starting.
Joe's
Joe
man.
is
He's
the
the guy.
starter.
But what's he look like
But
next
it's like,
year?
where are we going? So I think 100% it'll be interesting to see because listen, they got here because of Quinn.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you can talk about strength of schedule, this, that, and the other thing. Arch did win a few games when Quinn was hurt, but he's been a pretty good quarterback.
A more than serviceable guy.
100%. So
Like,
we'll see. That would be a storyline right
I
there.
think college football is and always will be, well, in the current iteration of it, it's a quarterback league.
Oh, absolutely.
The teams with the best quarterbacks are the ones that go the furthest.
The NFL kind of showed it to us within the last 30 years, and now it's here
College
too.
football, you need a really good defense.
Yes.
You need a great quarterback. And the teams with good defense and great quarterback play go the furthest. That's why I think I would take Texas over Clemson.
Yes.
Just looking at that one in a vacuum, even though I will be sprinkling responsibly if I were to gamble.
Yes.
On Clemson, just for the upset parlay. But I think it's Texas at the end of the day. It's just too much. I think their line of scrimmage play is better. I don't understand. They have this they're clearly better than teams on the line of scrimmage,
Yes.
but sometimes they just don't show up.
100%.
And I don't really understand that.
In pass pro too.
Yeah, it's like there's so much talent there, but what's happening? There's a disconnect between the talent and the on-field production with them sometimes.
I wonder, they were missing their left tackle, Banks.
Yep.
In the SEC
First round
championship.
pick.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Bona fide, maybe top 10. I wonder his status and how that plays into a game like
that's
this.
true.
Because I'm not too well versed on Clemson's defense. I don't know. They gave up a whole bunch of points to
It's true.
Captain America over there, but we'll see.
All right, we're going to go through now. We're going to pick each game. We're going to fill out our bracket together, picking the teams. Spoiler alert, Tennessee's going to win first round. And then we're going to get out of here after that. But let's go through.
Yes.
And then next week, I'm going to dive so hard into Ohio State, Tennessee.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, going to pick Tennessee again.
We're breaking all this down.
But this is the matchup. We talked about this earlier. It's the marquee one. It's the two blue blood brands. It's the best matchup. There's a reason they put it at 8 p.m. on Saturday.
Cap it off.
It is the one that everybody wants to see. The playoff committee screwed us over by making us travel to Columbus. That's fine. We're going to invade it with orange. The
matter.
horseshoe.
Do
it's
not
fine.
matter.
We're going to take over. We're going to win. Not a problem. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in UT.
Perfect.
The real UT, not the fake one down here.
Yep. This one.
Yep. All right. Let's go Indiana, Notre Dame. Your pick, and then we'll debate if it differs.
I was talking up Indiana. I got to go Notre Dame.
It's got to be Notre Dame.
Got to be.
Got to be Notre Dame.
Talent wise, they're far ahead. We talked about storylines like Indiana, man. Good job.
Congrats.
Year one.
You talked about
you're in.
Clemson being a success. This is a success.
That's massive.
Yeah, it made the playoffs.
Massive. People want to say Clemson or SMU bumped Bama out of the playoff. No, Indiana.
Yeah,
bumped
they're not
Bama.
supposed to be here.
They're not supposed to be here. If they don't go 11-1, we have a whole. Maybe you're right with South Carolina. Who knows? But thanks to Cignetti in year one,
Love it. I'm
Massive.
here for it. We're gonna jump
Go
to
home.
Clemson, Texas.
you're gonna say Clemson.
I'm gonna say Texas.
You're gonna say Texas?
I know. I think it's a winnable game for Clemson, but at the end of the day, Texas has got to be if they talk about the opposite successful season, if they lose in first round to Clemson, massive failure.
Really?
A massive failure.
Oh
for the
yeah.
season.
I mean it's for year one in the SEC, making the championship game.
You
losing it.
lost.
Yes.
Now you go to the playoffs and lose game one. Oh, buddy.
Miserable.
That's a disaster.
Give me Texas.
Give us Texas.
Horns up. Am I allowed to do that? I don't know.
No, never again. Just for the record, it's always horns down around here. All right. The one that I think we're going to do for the most, SMU Penn State.
I, for multiple reasons, have got to go Penn State. And listen, I'm all about SMU being in. I was a massive proponent of Bama out, SMU in. But Penn State, people are saying, oh, they're fraudulent. They don't play anybody. They lose all the big games. Sure, right? But look at what they just did against the far and away best team in the country. They had the ball, down one score, driving through a pick.
Found a way to lose. I'm just saying they find a way to lose a lot.
100%. I think it was Brandon Walker said they fail upward all the time.
Nobody fails upward more.
And that's fine.
We're going to put Penn State in here. I just want on record, I'm choosing SMU.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
See where we're going. Okay. We keep going?
We're going to keep going. We're going to go all the way here. All right.
Okay. Where are we starting with?
We'll come to us last. Let's go Arizona State, Texas.
This is tough because you look at Texas. I mean, they pride themselves on their defense, but I mean, you're catching a hot hand.
It is the hottest team in college football.
I love me some Kenny Dillingham.
I could not like Dillingham more.
I feel like I still got to go Texas.
It's Texas. And I think it'll landslide. As much as I would prefer it to not be, it is going to be Texas.
I love to go. I love me a good Cinderella story. I love me a good upset. I just that's just not one I see.
I just want to get out in front of this. I'm writing upside down and awkward. My handwriting is bad. It's not usually this bad. My mom's going to be watching this being like, oh my gosh, your handwriting. You get what it is.
They can see it.
All right, Boise State, Penn State.
I got to go with my guys, man. I mean, I absolutely love that Ashton Jeanty is getting another game to show how great of a football player he is. 100%.
Sure. You going Boise State?
No, I'm going Penn State.
Penn State, yeah.
Yeah.
So the last time a guy ran for as many yards as him was Kevin Smith, UCF. Got into a bowl game. I think they played Mississippi State. Somebody can fact check that
34 yards?
34 yards.
Yeah.
It's great what you did out there on the West Coast.
100%.
We're in a different league over here, buddy.
Completely different league. Maddox Madsen's not played against a defense like that. I mean, if Jeanty wants to go run for 110, they're going to let him. That's fine.
Yeah.
But that is
welcome to big boy football. You guys played well against Oregon. Awesome. That was your one game. You throw it all out there. You're getting railroaded.
Jeanty hasn't seen a 3-tech like Penn State's going to roll out there.
I think they're down to blow
20 pounds. Yeah.
Which is another reason in the playoff, these automatic buys, ridiculous.
No, makes no sense. We are locked in. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the playoff structure as it is locked in for this year and next year.
Correct, I believe.
Do you think, can they make
they'll change it. This is going to be such a disaster for TV ratings, they'll figure out how to change it. Even if they're locked
for next
in.
year?
Yeah, because they're going to be like, we got to get these like good games rolling.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this is second round. It's crazy. Notre Dame, Georgia.
I'm going with the Dogs.
And got to.
I got to.
We just talked about it. Whoever's winning this one's getting steamrolled. It's UGA.
That's Georgia by about 25.
However many they want it to be.
Yeah.
The caveat there is if Gunnar Stockton is still,
massively concussed.
No idea who he is because I still don't think he knows where he is at this point. And it came out today, Carson Beck, it's a UCL injury.
Those take a while.
That's a major one. So that's the only caveat there that maybe Notre Dame's good enough if they are on third string quarterback. Maybe. We got a couple weeks and we'll talk about that again when time comes. But
third string quarterbacks have won national championships in the past, most notably for Ohio State. But too bad they're not in anymore because UT whooped their butt. Where are we going here? Where are we going here? Are we going because we're predicting the game next week? We're going to break it down. This one. Do we need to go ahead and predict this one too?
We'll do it for the sake of this show.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Tennessee.
Yeah,
it's just me and you talking. The camera's not here. That one scares me.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Oregon
looked so. I mean, again, Penn State hung in there, and Penn State's not the most explosive offense,
buddy.
And are we more talented on offense than they are? Yeah, 100%.
I mean, yeah. Dan Lanning's I like him a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I'm talking about Penn State.
I know, but I'm talking about up here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're gonna say UT.
He's a great coach. I'm not saying he's not a great coach. That's talking about marquee matchup there too. What do you think that line opens up at?
Oregon 10.5.
Just for context, not for betting purposes.
Yeah, obviously. No, we would never bet.
No.
10.5.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
that scares me.
All right, but there we are. So now we have Texas, the battle of the UTs, and then UGA Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, at least we acknowledge the Tennessee homerism here. This is because y'all know where this is going.
Yeah, let's just get out in front of this. It's going to be Tennessee winning.
We know this is exactly where this is going. So take into our football acumen, our football knowledge for all of these right here.
I will say this. Whoever wins this game is who I think wins it all.
Really?
I got Oregon. If I wasn't taking Tennessee all the way, I'd have Oregon winning the national championship.
Okay.
I think Dan Lanning's put it all together. He's got Dylan Gabriel, the veteran quarterback, who can do whatever you ask him for. They've got a pretty good defense. Didn't look that great against Penn State, but overall it's been good. I think they are the most well-rounded team in the country.
He's a very likable coach. He's one
100%.
that you like want to root for. And granted, I can't root for him here.
Yeah, but if we weren't playing them, I'd be rooting for them all the way. Did you see the clips of them playing Inglourious Bastards?
Yeah.
Where he's like the bear. I don't know if I can say the rest of that guy's name, but the bear with the bat, and he comes out and he throws a bat to the special teams guy. Whew, sign me up. Let me run through a brick wall.
It was sick. His locker room speeches
so good.
are like, they're like Saban in because they have the magnitude and it makes you kind of like sit up, but they're like more relatable and cooler for
way
people
cooler.
like me.
Way cooler.
Like Saban is just yelling out like life advice, and I'm like, I get it, but like, thanks, Boomer. And then Lanning,
Lane's like, we're talking about bashing skulls, throws a Washington helmet, just beating with a sledgehammer. I was like, I would run through a wall for this guy.
How would you not want to? Like,
That's it. Tennessee's going to beat him.
Yeah. We
So
have to somehow nerf the halftime speech. Make sure he doesn't give one.
UGA Penn State.
My Penn State homerism ends there. I think it's Georgia
GGA.
all the way. I mean, when they put it together, they are the most dominant team in football. I think, granted, Georgia Tech, that was a rough game. But I mean, take even the game, and I hate even recapping it, but like take the game, take when we went down there. Like, we played well the first half. We got a few good plays,
100%.
big gainers, but I mean, they did what they wanted to in the second half. That game could have been 45-7.
But all that said, it was in Athens. This one ain't in Athens.
No, it's not.
It's
this
in
one's
Atlanta.
So
Dang it.
close.
That said, we know where this is going.
Ball national championship.
Ball national championship. You heard it here first.
Yes, and we have some
This is
cool
what's gonna
ball
be.
playoff merch. Just imagine what the merch is going to look
It's going to
like
be even better.
when we're
We won't
national.
stop. More steam.
No.
We're putting more steam in the merchandise. Tennessee National Championship. You guys heard it here first.
Yes.
But next week we'll be back and we're going to really dive into the Tennessee Ohio State. 'cause
X's and O's.
we'll really get into that one because that one's going to be a fun one.
Yes.
They do a lot of things that are interesting, unique on offense. So I'm fascinated to break that one down. So next week, right back here, we'll talk a little playoff football.
Let's go.
Really get into it.
Let's go.
Let's
Cap
do
it
it.
off.
Woo.
See you
More
next week.
steam.